On the Seven Seas, War Games Rules for the Age of Piracy and Adventure circa 1500 to 1730 by Chris Pierce, part of the Osprey Blue Book War Game series. Welcome to part 2 of On the Seven Seas. We're going to do the actual boarding action phase. Let me turn this so we can see a little bit better. Now, at the end of our last video, we had reached the point that the pirates had successfully grappled with the HMS Pirate Hunter. They only have, let's see, they got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 guys, and but they're outgunned, so they figured, why don't we go ahead and try to capture an upgrade, perhaps. At the start of the turn, we have to do our morale phase, and for our morale phase, I should point out, we've got a fear of 2 and a greed of 12 for the pirates, a fear of 1 and a greed of 12 for the Royal Navy. The Royal Navy captain is going to try to reduce the fear by 1, and then he reduces it by 2. The Greensleeves can increase their fear by 1, so nothing changes. Then we have to do our shooting, and I guess these two guys we've got, you can't see them here, can you? I got two guys up here in these crow's nests. And don't worry so much about the sails blocking line of sight. Remember, they're only representational. They're going to fire down into the mess, and they're going to fire at these first two guys. They are hitting on 0, so we get 1 hit, and he does not get a save because he's above. Let's see which guy he hits. 1 through 5, he hits the guy in front. So he actually hits the guy with the boarding axe, which is unfortunate for the pirates, because the boarding axe is really necessary for boarding, hence the name. For their part, the pirates they've only got 1 guy capable of firing, but because of where they're located, I don't think, he's got 2 guys that will fire up at the guy in the rigging. Yeah, let's do that. And the guys in the rigging are not in cover, but with a 4 and a 4, they don't get any hits. Now we get to do figure movement, and figure movement is a little bit awkward when you're tied to a ship, or your ship is tied to another ship, and the waves are rocking, and people are coming and knocking, and you got to jump over the gunwales, and it's just a whole thing. All right. Now, these ship models are kind of cramped, so we got to kind of improvise here. Knowing that they were about to board, everybody would have moved over to the starboard side of the ship. So we're going to give everybody a chance to climb up on board the ship. We're going to start from the front and work our way back. In order to get up on the ship, you have to roll a D10, and on a 2, 3, or 4. But because the pirates have a sloop, which is smaller than the ship, they have a -1. So on a 2 through 5, the figure hesitates. I got that wrong. On a 1 or a 2, the pirate falls into the sea. On a 3, 4, 5, he doesn't move. And on a 6 up, he gets on board the ship. So we got a guy with a musket who falls into the sea. Boom. We got a guy with a boarding axe. Now, the boarding axe gives him a +2 to this roll. So he gets a 12, so he jumps up to there. Then we've got a guy with a couple of pistols who climbs on up, even with a -1. We've got a fellow with a musket who climbs up, and then a guy with a saber who goes kerplunk into the water. And kind of a dangerous prospect here. And then we've got we've got 2 guys each with muskets, and they both go kerplunk, kerplunk. And then we've got a guy with 2 swords, and he's going to go up on board. So only 4 guys make it. Wow, this is really dangerous. I think I'm just rolling terrible. And then Captain Greensleeves himself, on a 6, is going to leap up onto the deck, and we're going to have a fun little sword fight between the 2 captains. These guys that are in the water, if the score is less than 1, the unfortunate man has fallen between the 2 vessels. So I rolled 2 1s. And we're just going to take these 2 guys. They were crushed between the 2 vessels. It's a dangerous prospect. Fighting on board. Let's see. To climb, that's nothing else. So there you go. We've got our 4 guys up on the vessel, and we are going to have... 5 pirates were able to make it up. Now, these guys can climb out of the water. They have to swim for the turn, and on the next turn, there's a chance they could get out of the water. Perils of the Sea is kind of a fun one. Men overboard. Most seafarers were not good swimmers. Roll a d10 the first time he enters the water. On a 1, 2, or 3, he cannot swim and is drowned. So on a 1, 2, or a 3, these guys are gone. They can both swim. They can move 1 inch per turn, but they cannot dive. They can't do anything else. And I think what we'll do is on the next turn, we'll roll to see if they can board the sloop using those same rules. In the meantime, we've got 5 guys up here. I want to do our combat between the 2 captains. They are both holding swords, so they are both going to be at +1. Let me get some more appropriately colored dice. There we go. If you can't figure out which die belongs to which man, you're probably watching the wrong video. Captain Greensleeve scores a 9 versus a 4. A difference of 5, the loser is removed from play. So Captain Kingsman is out. Then we've got a series of one-on-one fights. And we're going to start here with the first mate. And we're going to put him here because he's going to defend the gangway. So the first mate is carrying a sword and a boarding axe. And I think that's it. The sword, yep. So it's a +1 to the green die. So 7 versus 5 is going to be, with a difference of 2, the loser must fall back. All right, we got to check on what it means to fall back when you're up against the gunwale. And then we have another +1 to the green die. And he wins by 3, so loser falls back. And then we've got a straight-up roll between 2 guys fighting with muskets, and they tie and they stay where they're at. So what does it mean to fall back when you are up against a gunwale? Nothing at all. You are never obliged to fall back into the water. That's it for melee. We move on to the next turn. Captain Greensleeves. All right, we got to check for morale now. Roll a d10 per figure killed last turn. On an 8-up, fear goes up by 1. So this is the roll for... I only rolled 2 dice. Oh, wait a minute. I did this backwards. So we're going to do for the Royal Navy first. Their fear stays where it is. Then we're going to do the captain here. Tries to intimidate the Royal Navy. He doesn't get anything, but their fear does go up to 2. Now, the pirates lost 3 guys. So we have to roll in 3 dice. And for every 7 up, their fear goes up by 1. Their fear goes up to 3. And that's going to be it for the morale phase. Losing your captain does not do any immediate morale effects, but your captain can no longer reduce your fear. Your fear will only go up by 1 every single turn. Now we have a shooting phase. Everybody's engaged in hand-to-hand combat except for... Oh, you know what we could have done last turn? We could have moved these guys. This first mate can motivate them, and we could have lined them up. In fact, we probably should have. So we've got another mate here. We're going to fall back, and we're going to use our superior gunmanship. And we're going to take a total of 5, 6, 7, 8... Well, this is the only guy that's not engaged. So, we're going to take 8 shots at him. Looking for a 0, and on any 0, he goes down. 2, 4, 6, 8. So, this is not a game for shooting, I guess. Is there any bonus if you're close? Rolling D10? Nope. Everybody within 8 inches. That's it. Okay. So our pirates are basically taking the stern castle. They're doing pretty well here. That's it for shooting. He does not have... Does he have a pistol? Let me take a look at the figure. No, he's just a knife fighter. The ships drift 1 inch. That might matter in a multi-ship battle. Might matter if you're near an island or shoals, but it doesn't matter for us. Then we have figure movement. These 2 guys are going to try to crawl out of the water. And with a -1 on both of those, they're both going to drown. So that's 2 casualties for the pirates. And we're going to move this out of the way so we can really get in there and see what this scrum looks like. Now we're on to melee, and our captain is we're going to bring this guy out of melee. So our captain can get stuck in, and we're going to have 1 shot back at the guys. The captain is going to do a fight, give ourselves a little bit more room, and look at that. He is going to be removed from play by this heroic sailor, and that's 3 down. And then we have a fight with the green die at +1. And a 9 versus 0 is a pushback, so he's going to fall back. And then we have a fight where this is going to be a +1 for the first mate in the red coat, +1 for the sword. That's a total of +2. So you need to win by 8. That's the benefit of having these gun whales at your back. And then I think that's it for melee. So morale, the pirates are going to have to roll 3 dice, and on every 7 up, 3 triple ones. How about that? So their fear is going to remain at, on an 8 up, it increases by 1. So their fear remains at a 3. Everybody's still good on the morale front. We got to do some shooting, and it's going to be 8 shots at these 2 guys. I'm going to take 2 shots. Oh, we got these 2 guys can shoot at him, and didn't hit. The 2 guys in the rigging are going to shoot at him, and we don't get any hits. And then we've got a total of 6 shots down here at these 2 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, see, now I'm up to like 18 shots, and I finally got 1 hit. 1 through 5, 6 up. 1 through 5, it's the guy with the musket is down, so that is going to be 1 for the morale. And our pirates are down to just 3 against a whole lot. They're going to be hard-pressed, aren't they? Do any pirates have any shots? They do not. So figure movement. We'll move these 3 up, and we're just going to do our 3 one-on-ones. But it's going to get worse because we're actually going to bring these guys up, and we're going to start doing some 2-on-1s up at the top. And then we've got our first mate is fighting for his life. He's got a total of +2, and he does eliminate this first. Oh, you know what? This first mate is at +1 as well, so that's just a pushback. Because it's going to be, that first mate also has, is that a first mate? No, the drummer is, and the guy with the sharp stick is. You know, he's just a regular guy, so he goes down. Yep. Because it's going to be a total of +2 to this die, and with a difference of 4, that's going to be it. So then we have at a +1, that's a difference of 6, so we have a second Royal Navyman, and then we have that was in evens, which makes, no, that is +1, and then again we have a +1, so this guy is going to go down, and that was a pretty good turn for the pirates. We've got to roll 1 die for the pirates' fear. Their fear goes up by 1, and we got to roll 3 times for the Royal Navy, and their fear does not. So the pirates' fear goes up to 4. Remember, it's got to get to 12 because their greed was so high. But they do control the gun whale. Both of the greeds are, I guess we should probably check for initiative, huh? Well, we're going to have a lot of shooting. We've got 2 shots from the rigging, and that's going to knock out 1 guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9. He goes down. And then we're going to have 1, 2, 3 shots at the first mate. 1, 2, and 3. None of those hit. And then we're going to have figure movement, and I think we'll just bring these 2 guys up so we can do a 1-on-1 and a 1-on-1. It's going to be the first mates attacking, and the pirates win that one. And then it's going to be, let's see, what's the next one? Then it's going to be a simple +1 to the green die is not enough. This pirate is going to be eliminated, and that's going to be the end of the turn. Moving on, we've got to roll 1 die for the Royal Navy and 2 for the pirates. And the pirates' fear goes up to 5. They still have 7 to go. It's not going to get to that point, though, because these guys are not locked in combat. It's going to be 3 shots at that last pirate. The writing is on the wall here, isn't it? And then we've got another 4 shots at the pirate. 1, 2, 3, 4, which are, wow, man. That guy is sticky, isn't he? And then he's going to move up, and he's got the +1 on the melee. And with the +1 for the green sleeves, it's going to be a tie, which will remain in contact. Even if it's within 1, they remain in contact. So we got to do some morale checks for the pirates. Their fear goes up to 6. The Royal Navy fear stays at 2. And now we're going to do a double team on that guy. And so with that extra opponent, the pirate now is going to be at a total of -1, and he's going to get outnumbered by 3 to 1. Then the second attack on him, the pirate is at -1, and he will force a pushback. And, I mean, come on. We all know what's going to happen here. This is getting ridiculous, right? So we do some fallbacks. We're going to take 4 more shots at the guy, and there's our last one from the rigging. Or maybe he gets a save of, you know, a 7-up save. And he makes it, of course, because we got to prolong this down to the very bitter end. Maybe that's an issue with, and this is one of the first mates, by the way. He should be getting a +1 on those fights. But I think you can see that boarding actions are very dangerous. You definitely want to outnumber the other guy, and this game itself, the like core fighty game, there's not a whole lot to it. Again, if we had 2 small sloops, suddenly this ship-to-ship action, this boarding action, takes on a whole new level of drama, because the Royal Navy doesn't just have to overwhelm the pirates, they have to overwhelm them before that other ship can come up, tie up, and then swarm aboard as well. Or alternatively, these guys might need to take this ship in enough time before reinforcements arrive, right? Or maybe there's 2 and 2 ships, and so there's 2 ships in a duel over there, and one of them breaks off to rush over, or he finally sinks his enemy and rushes over. But the other issue here is that I think this on the Seven Seas is probably one of those games that benefits from being played in a much bigger scale than just a couple of tiny little ships. You're going to need 4 to 6 hours, and you're probably going to want 2 or 3 ships of this size on one side. And if you're going to use ships like these, you're probably going to want to have a 2-to-1 advantage in order to balance this out right. You don't get that kind of advice in this book. I think I see now why people don't tend to talk about On the Seven Seas nearly as much as they do some of the other books. There's quite a few videos about a little blue book called Gaslands you might have heard of. There's a few videos on another one called Dragon Rampant. I think that's one you might have heard of. There's a lot of videos on that. It's much more thorough, much more well put together, and of course, Fantasy Mass Battles, right? Lion Rampant, medieval battles, that's way more popular than Pirates. And there's a lot of different rules out there for Pirates. I think if I was going to do Pirates, I would go with Fistful of Lead, to be honest with you. Even maybe bigger battles. But that might be one little hole in the Fistful of Lead lineup. Do they have a way to do ships getting into scraps tight like that can handle the boarding actions? And one last thing I'll say before we call it quits for today. This is a rather challenging rules conundrum. How do you operate a game at 2 very different scales, the ship-to-ship and the man-to-man? Given that you have that challenge, the man-to-man phase of the game has to be as easy as possible to stay out of the way while you're doing your ship-to-ship. Likewise, you don't want to overcomplicate the ship-to-ship game, and that may be the real problem with On the Seven Seas. It's neither fish nor fowl. If I want to do ship-to-ship actions, there's a lot of much better games for that. If I want to do man-to-man, there's a lot of much better games for that. And now that I've played this once, I'm not sure that the syncing up of those 2 styles works terribly well. But I could be wrong. You could disagree. There's a comment section down there. Don't be shy, guys. I'm praying for you.